Hey, you guys, it's Matt Fraser, the psychic medium, and I am live right now. Now, first of all, before I begin, I am here live to talk to you about what happens to a soul when they're in between life and death. Now, this is really deep. This is something that I really don't talk about all that much as a psychic medium because it's really hard to explain. But I decided that I was doing you guys an injustice if I didn't come on and talk all about it. And not to mention, I just got done doing an online reading where a woman's father came through and he talked all about the way that his soul was trying his hardest to re-enter his body here in this world. I know it sounds a little bit creepy. I know it sounds a little bit scary, but I want to actually delve into this with you because there's something in my world, in the psychic medium world, known as exit points. So exit points is what I like to think of as the in-between. It's a time when a soul is faced with both life and death. And when a soul gets to make the decision whether they stay or they go. So I want to share with you all about this and let you know everything that I've learned about exit points, and also share with you this reading where a soul talked about what happened when he was in the middle of an exit point and why sometimes your loved ones can return back to their body and why sometimes they can't. And this is the reason why some people have near-death experiences and others do not. So first of all, I want to say hello to all of you. I see Kim Swan is here. Hey, Kim. I also see that Connie is here from Louisiana. Hey, Connie. I also see that Gail George is here. And I also see that Vicky is here from Michigan. Vicky, are you coming to see me this weekend? I'm coming to give live readings in Detroit, Michigan. I hope to see you there. I also see that April is here. And guys, if you haven't heard, here's the news. This week, I'm coming back live on tour. Starting tomorrow, I'm heading on the plane and I'm heading to Detroit, Michigan, Northfield, Ohio, Erie, Pennsylvania, and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. That's where you can come and see me to get live readings up close and personal. And then I'm coming to Moncton, Canada. I'm coming to Santa Rosa, California, Sacramento, California, Omaha, Nebraska. And I'm also coming to I'm also coming to where am I coming? Oh, Kansas City, Missouri as well. You can get tickets on my website, meetmattfraser.com. Also, one other thing I need you to know is that if you've been wanting to connect with someone on the online, if you've been wanting to speak to someone and have an online reading with me, there's only 45 minutes left to sign up for the next online reading. So that being said, there's about 45 minutes or so to sign up for my next online reading. Just go to meetmattfraser.com. The next day is September 16th and September 17th. But tonight is the last day to register for September 16th. Go to meetmattfraser.com to reserve your spot while there's still time. All right. While you're all here, first of all, have you heard about this? Have you heard of something called near-death experiences? Have you heard of something called exit points? Have you heard of something called the in-between? Has this ever come across your radar? Well, first of all, what I want you to know is I don't think that it really has, because normally this is something that psychics and mediums will hear about during certain readings. So first of all, let's talk about near-death experiences. So near-death experiences happen when a person passes before their time and they can still come back to their body here in this world. For example, let's say that you are in a car accident and you're passing away here in this world, God forbid, and your soul goes to transition to the other side, but your loved ones in spirit see that there's still time for you here in this world and that you can still return back to your body. Sometimes they'll send you back, right, and tell you that it's that to go back, don't transition on to the other side. There's still life for you to live, right? For example, Rosie is saying that she had that experience. She said that she died during surgery. There's been many people who have had near-death experiences. And what I can tell you is that everyone who's had a near-death experience is different. Not everybody will have a near-death experience. First of all, it's rare, right? But those who have had near-death experiences have something amazing that they get to teach us about life as we know it and also the afterlife. And that is, if there's still work to be done here in this world and our body is still viable, there's times when our soul can come back into our body. But, I've spent a lot of time talking to the souls about this, talking to the other side, and talking about exit points. And this is what I've learned. So what happens is that when it comes to exit points, your loved ones in spirit sometimes are given the opportunity. Do they stay and fight, or do they transition peacefully to the other side? Not every person gets this opportunity. Some people pass in tragedy and they pass instantly, and there's no way that they can be given the opportunity to stay here in this world. But sometimes, and it's rare, there are cases where souls will be in the in-between. So the in-between is that their body is still functioning, but their soul is in between this world and the other side, and they have to make a decision. They have to make a decision. Do they stay and try to return it back into their body, or do they transition on to the other side? So I see this happen a lot of times with people who pass on life support. When someone passes on life support here in this world, even though their body is still functioning here in this world, their soul sometimes is already on the other side or in the in between. So the in between isn't like a limbo. It's not something where like, oh my God, is my loved one not in heaven? The in between, I like to think of it as heaven's waiting room. The in between is a waiting room where you're waiting to see what's going to happen. Can you return back to your body, or is it that you're going to transition on to the other side? Is it that you're waiting next to your body because of the fact that you want to see your friends and family members before you make that final journey into heaven? This is something that's granted to certain souls that are transitioning on the other side. And what I want you to know is that it's not just for people who are in a coma. There's sometimes when people are in the waiting room, when their soul is getting ready to make its final journey to the other side. For example, if you've ever seen a loved one that was in a coma here in this world, maybe they couldn't speak, maybe they couldn't talk, maybe they couldn't communicate here in this world. What I can tell you is that I've seen those souls come through in readings. And what's amazing is that even though their eyes are closed, even though they might be in a coma here in this world, they are very much aware of their surroundings. They're very much aware of who is in the room with them, what the people are doing around them, who came to see them, and the messages that were whispered to them. Because even though your loved one might be in a coma, might be unresponsive here in this world, their soul is not actually in their body at that point. Their soul is actually on the side of their body, right? Or walking around the room. It's because their body is still functioning and they're getting ready to transition to the other side. I'm going to share with you, this just happened recently. So recently, my father-in-law passed away, Alexa's stepfather. And in his final moments, we brought Royce to go and see him and to say goodbye because, you know, at the time in which he was passing, you know, we had gotten a phone call that he wasn't doing well and we wanted to see him one last time. And I knew that he would have wanted to see Royce, our son. So we got in the car, we ran down to the hospital and we got out to go and to see him. And at first I was really nervous, you guys. Because Royce is just young. He just turned a year old today. And this just happened 3 weeks ago. So 3 weeks ago, my father-in-law passed away, Alexa's stepdad. And like I said, we brought Royce to go and see him when he was in his final moments. And I was like, is Royce going to be scared? Is Royce going to know what's happening? Because Royce is just a little baby, right? But what was amazing is that when we got into the room, even though he was in a coma at the time, meaning my father-in-law, right away, Royce's face lit up, and I put Royce on the bed with him, and I was talking to my father-in-law, saying, "Oh, Royce is here. Do you feel Royce?" And of course, he was unresponsive. But what was amazing is that I saw Royce staring and smiling at him, and I saw Royce going and looking slightly above him. And I knew at that moment that Royce was seeing his spirit. I knew at that moment that Royce was seeing what I was seeing, and that was that Anthony's soul wasn't in his body at the time, even though his body was still breathing and functioning, but his soul was right there. So Royce was seeing the true him, the him outside of his body. And thank you guys so much for saying condolences to the family, and thank you for your loss. It was a really, really tough passing, but at the same time, I'm so happy that I got to meet him and that I got to have the years that I did with him when I first got to know Alexa. So Royce, even though, like I said, my father-in-law was in a coma, Royce was seeing him. He was seeing his soul. He was seeing his true essence. And it was just amazing because he wasn't scared. He wasn't nervous. He wasn't freaked out. Instead, he was just looking and looking and staring and staring. And it's actually funny because Royce has been getting some stranger danger recently where he's been nervous with strangers and different people and weird things have been freaking him out. But in that moment, like I said, I know that he saw his soul. So I'm telling you this for one reason, because many times you may have gone to say goodbye to a loved one and it has been a terrible thing that you see. You see your loved one sitting in a bed, unresponsive, not able to respond. You wonder, do they hear me? Do they know that I'm there? Do they see me? Well, this is called the in-between. So it's in that moment that some souls will choose to hang on and to see and to be part of the experience for people to come and see them and to say goodbye. And then there's other souls that don't want to be a part of that experience and they just as well transition on to the other side. But what the other side has explained to me is something that's really interesting. And that is that sometimes souls, when they're passing away, will wait to see if there's any possible way that they can re-enter their body. So the reason why some people are able to come back, meaning when they have those near-death experiences and it's before their time, they're able to re-enter their body, and some people can't, it depends on the condition of your body. So for example, if you're in a car accident, right, and there's no body left, there's no way a soul can come back into that body. But if you had a heart attack or you had a near-death experience where your body is still intact and maybe there's a chance that your organs can still come back, your soul can come back too. And that's the reason why some people have these amazing near-death experiences where they almost pass away, but their body starts to function and their body's viable and their soul can re-enter. And then there's those experiences where the souls hang on and wait to see, right? Like a lot of times I go and I give readings and people get so upset and they're like, Matt, why didn't my husband hang on? Why didn't my dad hang on? Why didn't my mom hang on? Why didn't my sister hang on? And when I'll talk to their soul, they'll say to me, I did try to hang on. I did try to come back, but my body just wouldn't let me. My body was too far gone. Well, that happens here tonight. Tonight, I just got done doing an online reading, and it was incredible. I got to meet so many of you guys. I want to thank you guys who attended tonight's online reading. I so enjoyed connecting you with your loved ones. But there was this one reading that stood out. A mother and a daughter attended together from Ireland, believe it or not. And the girl's father came through. And this was an amazing story because he had a near-death experience where he almost died years earlier. But then he passed away suddenly, he passed away suddenly after a quick battle with his gallbladder, I think it was. And what was amazing is that he was in a coma, but was able to talk about all the things that happened before he died. I want to share with you this reading that happened tonight because it really puts into perspective what a soul actually goes through, meaning that we see things through our eyes being human, right? We look at life one way and we look at death another way being human. But talking to the souls on the other side and talking to the loved ones that have passed on, we can see things completely different when we look through their eyes and we see how they seen their life and death. So this is what happened. This reading just happened literally, I want to say it was about 45 minutes ago. This was at tonight's online reading. And by the way, before I get all these messages saying, Matt, how did they get a reading? How did they get a reading? Anyone can get a reading just like they did. They only paid $19 and they joined my online group reading. Anyone can do it. The only thing is that they sell out really quickly. So August is completely sold out. The first half of September is sold out. But guys, there is 45 minutes left or so to sign up for the September 16th online reading. So if you would like to join a live online reading with me, what I want you to know is that the next one is September 16th, but there's only a few minutes left to sign up. So that being said, if you'd like to sign up for the online reading, go to meetmattfraser.com. But without further ado, here's the reading. Take a look. It's going to give you the chills. Tell me what you thought and if this reading affected you the same way that it affected me, because it taught me a lot. Ready? Here it is. First of all, where are you guys from?
Ireland, Longford.
Oh, good. I'm so glad that you're here.
Hi.
What time is it in Ireland right now?
It's about 1 a.m.-ish.
Perfect. Well, first of all, I got to tell you, so this was your father that departed?
Yes.
Know that he's stepping forward on the other side, because he kept saying to me, that's my daughter, that's my daughter. And first of all, I have to tell you that your dad wants to thank you for just going back to the old pictures of him. He tells me you were just going back through his pictures. And he says to me, Matt, he goes, Kim, I wish that I would have gotten to do this with my daughter when I was alive, he tells me. Because he says to me that as you were going through the pictures, it's like you were reliving old memories with your dad, because your dad was a storyteller here in this world. He always used to tell you stories about back when he was younger and back when he was a kid and back when he looked so good. And he shows me you were going through these pictures and you're like, oh my God, this is what my dad was talking about. Oh my God, that's the house he grew up in. Oh my God, this was his mom. Do you understand that?
Yeah, we have. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. So know that when you were just going through that, your dad was there and with you, because he tells me he was right over your shoulder. He's also talking about the birthday I have to acknowledge as well. So
it's my mom's birthday in a couple of weeks.
Oh, perfect. So know that he's here for your birthday, because he kept saying to me, say happy birthday, let me know that. So that was your husband.
Yeah.
And know that, first of all, I got to tell you, your dad thinks this is so funny right now that he can communicate with you both like this. And he actually tells me, he goes, Matt, now that I'm in the spirit world, he goes, I play tricks on them all the time. And he tells me that there's times when you feel weird things in your house. Is that true?
Yeah.
That's him. He actually tells me that he screws with the electricity. Like, have you just had electricity issues or like issues that were going on with like your lights and things?
Well, not the lights, but
Not the lights.
different
So,
things.
yeah,
Well,
different
actually,
bits and
the
pieces.
lights in the bathroom.
Oh God, yeah.
What do you mean? Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot about that actually. Yeah.
Wait, what happened? I missed that part.
Well, it's just that the lights in the bathroom eventually just went, and there's issues with the washing machine and little different bits of electricity things that have been going a bit weird, to be honest.
Please know that when spirits are new to the other side, they can come through in ways like this. And this is what he's doing right now. Because he just said to me, Matt, he goes, I've been desperate to try to reach them. I've been desperate to try to get in touch with them. And then he showed me coming through electricity and messing all with you guys on the other side, but in the best way. He says to me that the first thing that I have to tell you is that he's talking about the dogs as well when I'm connecting with him. So do you have dogs here in this world?
No, we don't, but he always had dogs when he was little. Yeah.
He's also telling me when I'm connecting that because he's talking about his dogs that he's talking about. So that had to be the dogs that he had. And do you know if one of them was the Cocker Spaniel here in this world?
No, and he didn't have a Cocker Spaniel. He had Labradors and I can't remember the make of the other dog, but
there's those dogs, but I also have a Cocker Spaniel that's also here with me. So I don't know if that was one from his childhood or one that he had back in the day, but he's bringing that dog through as well.
Well, we had a Cocker Spaniel at home. My little sister had a Cocker Spaniel years ago.
Oh, that was your dog.
Yeah.
Oh, hello. I'm sorry. That was my fault. Listen, when your loved ones pass the other side, they're there with everyone's loved ones. So in other words, heaven is one place, right? And when you adopt a pet, they are in your family. So know that he just brought through and saying, show her the Cocker Spaniel, show her the Cocker Spaniel. If that was your dog, please know that it's his way of just bringing that through. First of all, I have to tell you that this was a tragedy on how this man had passed here in the physical world when I'm connecting. And I am so sorry, first of all, to have to bring you back to his passing in that day. But your dad just said to me, I wasn't ready to say goodbye like this, Matt. He says, I wasn't ready to leave this world. And that's why I have to come through and communicate. He says, because since the day that I got to the other side, he says, my soul has been at peace, but my family hasn't. And he's been trying every which way that he could to reach you, to connect with you, and to talk with you here in this world. And that's what he's doing right now. He actually says to me when I'm speaking to him that, first of all, the one thing that I need you to know is that after his passing, he talks about you wanting to stay with his body or sit next to his body here in this world. So did you ask to see him one last time or to spend time with his body here in the physical?
He was in a coma for a couple of weeks before he passed away, and we spent every day, every night by his bedside. And he now sleeps next to my mom upstairs. He was cremated, so that's next to him as well.
No, but I mean when he actually passed. He tells me about you spending some time with his body right after his passing here in this world.
Yeah, we did.
He knows about that. And he says to me, Matt, he says, the one thing that I want them to know is that when you went and you spent some time with him before they had taken your dad or before you had left, they made you leave the room and you kissed him and you hugged him and you did what you did. He saw that on the other side. And he says to me this, he says, Matt, what I need them to know is that here in this world, he says, I had such a beautiful family. He says, and I'm going to be honest with you. He tells me he's glad that you look through the pictures of him because growing up, he tells me that he had issues in his childhood here in this world. Yeah. He says, and I had issues within my own family. In fact, he tells me that when he first met you as his wife, he tells me all he wanted within his life was his own family. All he wanted was to have love because he talks about not having that when he was a kid and growing up. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Yeah.
He says to me, and Matt, we had such a beautiful life with one another. He says, the one thing that he's so happy about is everything, every milestone that you went through, everything that you built with one another, and everything that you achieved with one another. He says, that's what true love really is. And when I'm connecting with him, he actually just said to me this. He says, Matt, he says, in heaven, if you could see him right now, he shows me that what he loved here in the physical was being outdoors when I'm connecting with him. And he says to me that was something that he seldom got to do here in this world because he was constantly working and working and working and working and working.
Oh,
he says, if there's one thing that I always used to tell my wife, Matt, It was that one day I'm going to retire. We're going to do this together. We're going to do that together. We're going to travel together. He had all these plans that the two of you were supposed to do. And then all of a sudden he passed. He says, and that chapter of your life was one that you never got to experience.
Yeah.
Do you understand that?
Yes. Yeah.
He says to me, Matt, he says, please let my wife know. He says, she's not going to believe it, but I'm not working on the other side. He says, I am finally here. And at peace, he shows me.
That's good.
But he also says to me this: when your husband was here in this world, he talks about the fact that he had gotten very sick here in the physical world when I'm connecting with him. Yeah. And he says to me that he did not have any idea that this was going to be deadly. He had no idea that he was actually going to pass from this here in the physical.
Yeah.
And that's what's so tough, because he keeps telling me, Matt, I wasn't even going to go into the doctor. I wasn't even going to go and get seen. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he tells me that you were like, no, I think that you should. I think that you should go see someone. I think that you should go and get checked out. And do you know that you gave him extra time here in this world by allowing him to do that and by making him do that? He says, Matt, he says, please let them know that even though they didn't get the chance to save me here in this world, he does not want you to have any survivor's guilt because you gave him a chance. You gave him a chance at life here in this world. So he shows me when I'm connecting, doctors working on him and doing everything that they could to try to help him here in the physical world.
Yes.
He's also telling me he was supposed to go undergo a procedure. There was a procedure that they were putting him through here in the physical.
Yeah, he was to have an operation on the gallbladder, but it just hadn't come around yet. Yeah.
So please know that he's bringing me back to that operation. And I don't know exactly what had happened, but he tells me this. He says to me, Matt, I was supposed to have the operation, but it was too late. He tells me there was already toxins in his body, he tells me. And he's bringing that through because he showed me visions of IV bags, and I keep seeing his heart rate having issues, meaning that his heart rate was plummeting here in the physical world. And there was all of these different things that were going on. He tells me that literally the doctors were one step behind everything. And that's what's so tough, is that he was so close to living and so close at pushing through this. But I also have to tell you this. Your husband was someone who here in this world, he was tough stuff. And it's actually funny because when I'm connecting with him, he says to me, Matt, he says, I was not going out without a fight. So please know that even though he was in a coma at the end or couldn't speak or couldn't communicate, he tells me that he was fighting for his life here in this world.
Yes.
And
we believe that wholeheartedly.
I'm telling you this because he needs you to know that he was not going anywhere without getting to say goodbye.
Yeah.
He says, and even though that was not the goodbye that you wanted, meaning that he couldn't talk or speak back to you, he says that he was holding on to see his family. He was holding on for you. And he was also holding on because he wanted to see if his body was given a chance to live.
Yeah.
So what I mean by that is this, okay? This is what your father's showing me, which is really interesting. It's something that we can all learn from. Sometimes, even though our heart is kept beating here in this world and our body is kept beating, meaning that the doctors were keeping his body alive, right?
Yeah.
His soul was already out of his body. His soul was like in between worlds. So It doesn't mean your dad wasn't trapped. It's not like he was like, oh my God, where do I go? What happens? It means that souls sometimes are given an option, okay? And that option is that they stay and fight or that they go peacefully to the other side, right? And sometimes certain souls will choose to stay and fight. But the problem is that if your body can't recover, it can't recover.
Yes.
Do you know that your dad was hanging on for that reason? He says, Matt, he says, I was hanging on right there waiting to see if I was going to get a second chance. He says, because I would have taken it.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
he needs you both to know this because he talks about the way that even though he couldn't talk and communicate, those last days with your dad is not something that he wants you to be sad over because he heard about all the memories that you shared between the two of you with your dad while he was there in the room. He tells me you played music for him. He talks about the music that was played and you would sing to him on the side of him because he's bringing that through. He also tells me that you got people on the phone. There were phone calls that were made, and you were taking phone calls in the room because people couldn't make it to see your dad. And you were saying he's here, and he could hear the phones being around. Do you understand that?
Yes. Yes.
So know that you keep saying, "Oh my God, I didn't get to say goodbye. I didn't get to say goodbye. My dad didn't know." When he's here to prove to you right now that he heard everything. He's acknowledging that. He's also telling me, is there Bob as well that passed? Bob or Robert?
My brother's name is Robert, but he's not passed.
Do you know if he was named after somebody? Because that soul's also here on the other side. And it's not your brother.
His dad chose his name, so perhaps he had somebody in mind.
That's got to be it, because he's bringing that through. And I'm also hearing, when I'm connecting as well, that your dad is telling me this. He says, Matt, here in this world, he says, even though he passed so tragically here in this world, he says, this wasn't the one and only time that he had issues with his health, he tells me. He said to me that he had an issue once before. I felt like it was almost like a heart attack when I'm connecting with him. So when he suffered before, did he come close to having a heart attack? Was there a big health scare like that previously? I felt it was, because he keeps showing me it was like 6 years prior.
No, he didn't have issues with his heart, but he always had issues with his stomach and his liver and
kidneys,
all type of stomach.
He keeps showing me when I'm connecting and whispering in my ear about transfusions. Did he ever have a bleed, or was there an issue with transfusions with him?
Oh, yeah, when he was younger. Yeah, when he was like a teenager, he had in stomach.
Well, he had transfusions. Just a few years ago.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I need to talk about.
Well, yeah, he's had them a lot. A few.
He said to me, he kept telling me about, when you were saying to me, no, he kept whispering in my ear, transfusions, talk about the blood. And he kept saying to me, I almost died then. I almost died.
Yeah.
So I'm going to tell you something right now. Your husband wasn't sure if there was an heaven, if there was an afterlife, if there was another side. He wanted to believe it, right? But he wasn't so sure. And I'll tell you this, when your husband almost died the first time, when he had that transfusion and he got really close to passing, he said to me that he asked God for more time here in this world. And God gave him those extra years to spend with you as his wife and you as his daughter. He says, and Matt, that's something that I'm so thankful for.
Yeah.
He just said to me this. He just said to me, Matt, please tell my wife that I love her so much. He says, and Matt, please tell my wife, thank you for talking to me every night before she goes to bed. He tells me that he's caught you sometimes kissing his picture and hugging his picture. You think that nobody can see you, but your husband can. That's the one. So know that he sees that. And he also tells me this. He says, Matt, please tell my wife to stop giving away my clothes, he tells me. He tells me, like, you always are trying to give away his sweatshirts. Like, here, take a sweatshirt. Oh, you need a sweatshirt? Here, my husband. You're wearing it right now? Shut the hell up.
Yeah, this is my dad's.
That's crazy. Before you came here, he kept saying to me in my ear, like, you need to talk about the sweatshirt. You need to talk about the sweatshirt. So did you say before you came here, if you talk about the sweatshirt, it's real. If not, it's bullshit.
I said to my mom, I came down wearing this red jumper and I said, it couldn't hurt. Like, if anything, he'll come through to tell me to take it off or something.
He knows about that. And please know that this is his way of truly validating that he is with you, because he tells me that you're in pain every single day, questioning what happened to him. Is he there? Can he see you? And that you're so afraid of going through milestones in your life without him. He says, you'll never be without me. And no matter where your mom goes, his soul is there and with you.
Good.
So know it's his way of just bringing that through, letting you know that he is safe and at peace, and his soul is there on the other side.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I am so happy. I'm so happy that he got to come through, because I can already see the healing that's taking place. And I really hope that this helped to validate to you as his daughter that you still have your dad, even though it feels different now that he's in spirit.
Yeah.
We weren't getting on too well for a few years, and then our relationship was just starting to improve before he passed away. So I just want him, tell him all the time, I just want him to know that I love him, and there was never any hard feelings.
Listen, your dad already knows. And that's why he's here for the both of you right now, to let you know that even though this time has passed, his soul is still forever with you. That was the reading that happened tonight, you guys, during tonight's online reading. There were so many. By the way, during these online readings, it's crazy because I never know who's going to come through. It's literally message after message after message after message. I read. But here's what happens, right? Readings like that are so amazing because it teaches us what actually happens when we die. And that's how I wrote all of my books. All of the books that you guys see that I wrote, right? Like We Never Die, Secrets of the Afterlife. How do you think that I found all of this information? This isn't something that you can Google. It's not something that you can look up. But all the information that I've learned about what happens when we die, I've learned from talking to the souls here in this world, right? When I connect with your loved ones on the other side and I connect with their soul, they tell me all about what it was like for them to die, what happened when they died, what happened when they were transitioning to the other side. And I've taken all of that information and I've learned so much about the spirit world. So that was one reading in particular. It just happened tonight where I learned so much because I've never seen it happen. That was the first time really in a reading where I've seen a soul so adamant to wait, to see if his body was going to recover because her dad was there and waiting. His spirit was there on the side of his body waiting. If there was any chance that his body was going to be able to make it, he would have stayed here in this world. And it really shows us something. It shows us that nobody is brought to heaven kicking and screaming, right? No one is just ripped and brought to the other side. It's a transition process. And even though her dad passed away and there was no hope of recovery for his body, what was amazing is that he still tried. He tried to hang on for his family here in this world. And that's something that, teaches us all about what heaven and the afterlife is actually like. So that being said, that reading just happened a little while ago. It was an absolutely incredible experience, but that was just one of many. I read for so many families tonight that were missing a loved one in spirit. So that being said, if you're one of those people, if you've been wanting to connect with someone on the other side, if there's someone that you want to hear from, maybe you didn't get to say goodbye. Maybe there were things that were left unsaid. Maybe you're wondering, are they with me? Are they watching over me? Maybe you're going through grief and you need a little bit of healing, or maybe you just need to know that they're at peace. Well, what I want you to know is that tonight is the last night to sign up for the September 16th online reading. There's less than an hour left, you guys. We're down to minutes. If you want to be a part of that live online reading with me on September 16th, you got to go to my website, meetmattfraser.com. meetmattfraser.com and be a part of an experience with me. It's during these experiences that I connect you with your loved ones in spirit. I see you, you guys see me, just like in that video, and it's reading after reading after reading after reading. I read for as many families as I can, and it's amazing to hear the stories of the souls and who comes through. It's how I've learned so much about heaven and the afterlife. But I also know something else. I also know that there's a soul that's also trying to reach you as well. And what I have to let you know is that it might be somebody that you're least expecting, but you most need to hear from. So if you've been wanting to connect with someone on the other side, don't wait any longer. Head to my website, meetmattfraser.com. This is your last chance to sign up for the September 16th online reading. We're down to the final moments. And that being said, I'm really excited to see who will scoop up the last few spots, because it's during these events that we connect with our loved ones, we learn about the other side, and we also learn how our loved ones are trying to connect with us. Like I said, what she saw with her dad's passing was a totally different experience than what had actually happened. She watched her dad being lifeless, being in a coma, not being able to talk, not being able to speak, not being able to communicate. But what her dad saw was something completely different. Even though his eyes were closed and he was unresponsive, he saw the love that his family gave to him. He saw his family sitting by his bedside, singing to him, touching him, whispering him messages, calling loved ones on the phone so that they could say goodbye. And her dad left knowing how much they had all loved him. Well, it's the same thing with your loved ones as well. So that being said, I do these online readings to help you connect with your loved ones and to be able to tell the story of your loved ones. Because the saddest thing is when we don't get to say goodbye. The saddest thing is when something is left unsaid. But it doesn't have to be that way. Being a medium, I use my gift all the time to help people connect with their loved ones, just like that mom and daughter. And I hope to see you see you as well. So the way that they got that reading is they just attended an online reading with me. It's $19 to attend. They attended all the way from Ireland. You can attend as well. Doesn't matter if you're in the United States, Canada, or somewhere else in the world. People attend from all over, but I can only allow a limited amount of people. Once we're sold out, we're sold out. So what I want you to know is that September 16th is the next available date. And what I also want you guys to know is if an online reading isn't for you, I'm also coming back on tour. So this week I'm heading to Detroit, Michigan, Erie, Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'm also coming to give live readings in Northfield, Ohio. And then I'm coming to Moncton, Canada. I'm coming to Laughlin, Nevada. I'm coming to Santa Rosa, California, Sacramento, California. And I'm also coming to, where am I coming? Oh, Omaha, Nebraska, and also Kansas City, Missouri. All the tour dates are at meetmattfraser.com, and also that September 16th online reading is up there as well. So I'm really, excuse me about that. I just had a frog in my throat. I shouldn't be drinking coffee this late. But anyways, I really hope to see you there because it's not just about connecting with our loved ones. It's also a learning experience to learn how we can all connect with heaven and exactly what our loved ones are, and learn exactly what our loved ones are doing on the other side. So I cannot wait to see you guys online. Remember, meetmattfraser.com. There's only a few minutes left to sign up, and I hope to see you there. And I want to thank you guys for trusting me in teaching you about the other side and also delivering messages from your loved ones. So I'll be looking for you on September 16th. I hope to see you there. There's only a few minutes left to register, so I hope you make it in time. I'm going to sign out so that you can go and do that. I love you guys, and I will see you soon.